yourself with anger?
Rage, Jimmy.
Rage.
And because I'm not obsessed with death in any way, but I've been known to, drive in my car and imagine my own death and start sobbing.
I know that you've driven my...
But I will imagine my own death, and I will imagine people hearing the news, No, don't tell me he's gone. And, and I will actually tear up. I will tear up. And I told my wife, Nancy, that, and she said, that is the sickest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I said, what do you mean? I said, you don't imagine your own death and start to cry? She said, no, I imagine your death. And I said, well, that's my point.
You were just singing as Jerry Lewis. Very funny. Every time I've heard you sing, it's a comedic impression.
Yes.
Marty, I have sad news. Well, Andrea Martin told me that there's the tape of you singing when you want to be a professional singer. That is not a joke. I watched the tape, I thought, this has had to be him making a joke.
Oh, from Everything Goes?
Yes, and it's you not making a joke, really being...
This is sad.
This is really horrifying, Marty. Normally we do these and I think,
This is like 1941.
Marty,
this is a long time
listen,
ago.
I couldn't believe it, and neither will America. Roll it. This is not a joke.
You'd never go away. You'd never leave me lonely. Don't leave me, baby. Think about the happy times, the groovy times. Don't tell me that they're gone. I just can't carry on. And no, you're not here. You're not near anymore.
You changed your name, though, from Vanilla Ice. How come?
Never changed my name. My name's always been Ice Cube since I was 12 years old.
What about O'Shea Jackson?
O'Shea is the name my mama gave me.
God, there's that wonderful Robbie Burns once said, the poet. Oh, what a tangled web we weave. When first we practice to deceive.
Who?
You are perverted.
Sure. What's your point? At least I wasn't fired by The View, was
I was.
How did you arrive at the name Jiminy Glick?
Do you know, it's very strange. It's improvised when I do these interviews, and the very first name, I don't know why, I just kind of said it. When I was interviewing, I went to the cast of Dharma and Greg, and I said Jeremy Glick. And then in the edit bay, when we were editing the piece down, I thought, no, Jiminy might be funny, like Jiminy Cricket. And the tragedy was that on the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania that was heading toward on 9/11, one of the men that was the big hero on that plane was Jeremy Glick.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That must have...
Oh, it kind of shocked me, yeah.
Yeah.
He was one of the first guys to tackle these guys down and try to save the plane.
When people say you're tough, are you?
Well, if that means, am I rock hard in my beliefs and not afraid to bulldoze anyone who gets in my way, creating an aerial view of Versailles, if needs must, with, no survivors required, or invited, for that matter. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Are you tough?
Not really.
Have a younger person on our staff, and when your name came up, she went nuts for something I had never heard of. You ready for this?
Yes.
Preminger in the Barbie movie, The Princess and the Pauper. Do you remember that role?
Well, I'd have to check that one out again.
Wait a minute. You don't remember doing it?
I do remember doing it. I remember the credit.
Right. You've looked at your own IMDb page.
And I go, I gotta check that out.
But apparently, for a generation of young women,
Yeah.
your performance as, I gather, the villain, Preminger, was life-changing.
I bet I was on point.
I play the world's first male fairy godmother, Murray. And
Murray?
Murray the fairy godmother. and Kathleen Turner. Two of the queer guys looked like they had just stormed out in mid revival.
Queer guys? What queer guys?
Queer
with the eyes.
Queer eye.
Queer eye guys. Yeah, they're not the queer guys. You know.
Thank you. I abbreviate the Queer Eye guys.
He's from Canada.
In 1987, she held pop music's first big AIDS benefit show at New York's Madison Square Garden. She's shaken her booty at AIDS dance-a-thons, and on her last tour, she held another benefit after her friend artist Keith Haring died of AIDS.
I think that she was one of the first people to really come out and raise money, donate, publicly fight for it when it was not as fashionable. I think that she's a real heroine in that respect.
Hello, my darling. I laughed. How you doing,
I'm
Martin?
good.
I laughed every time you did that to Charles.
Oh, no, you knocked him over every time. I love you.
This
I
little
think you're the bestest uncle in the whole wide world.
Yes, and then,
Who really aren't perceived the same way as someone, say, like a Robert De Niro, like the great dramatic actors. But the Marty Shorts of the world, specifically, I mean, Marty Short is a great actor. And because he does comedic characters, possibly people don't recognize that as much. But, you know, comedic characters aren't easier. They're harder. That's why there was only one Peter Sellers, and that's why there's only one Marty Short. And I want to thank Marty again so much, and he's going to stay here and be with Art Garfunkel and me, and thank you very much for coming on this first night.
Thank you, Charles.
We'll be right
I'm
back.
blushing, but there's so much pancake 2 on you can't see.
Okay, we're out.
You wouldn't lie to me, would you, Uncle Martin? Because if you did, I'd be so angry. I don't know what I'd do.